Today is Friday, July the 27th, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of July 29th through August the 5th, 2018. I'm doing things a little bit differently this week. We're starting with the lunar eclipse for today, July the 27th, at 4 degrees 44 minutes of Aquarius. So I'm uploading this video today, the 27th, one day earlier than usual and in time for the lunar eclipse. Sorry for not letting you know last week. A couple of viewers were disappointed. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because the lunar eclipse is so closely tied in to the Mars square Uranus aspect, which is happening this week on Wednesday. So, looking at the chart of the eclipse, we can see that there's a lot of other planets involved in this full moon. Here's the moon at 4 degrees of Aquarius. You'll see the sun exactly opposite at 4 degrees of Leo. And the south node is close by the moon, and so is Mars. And Uranus is forming a T-square with the moon, Mars, and the sun. So there's a lot to consider there, just beyond the sun opposition moon aspect. As well, Saturn, currently at 3 degrees of Capricorn, is playing a moderating role through its trine to Uranus here in the early degrees of Taurus. It's not going to get exact, but it's been very close for a while now. It was exact last year, so it's been a moderating force for quite some time. So with just the lunar eclipse, we could say the moon in Aquarius really loves its freedom. You know, the United States of America has moon in Aquarius, as well as moon trine Uranus in their chart, and I believe that's the main reason why people of this country have never warmed up to the idea of mass transit. You know, buses and trains are far more common in places like Europe and Japan, a lot more modern. And Americans just really love their individual freedom, and public transit or mass transit doesn't really suit the moon in Aquarius quality. So at this full moon, we're looking to show our individuality. We feel free to express ourselves without inhibition. And that's Sun in Leo, doesn't need a reason to express itself. No problem with that, just a natural. We're more dramatic as well as more romantic. The fixed energy of Leo and Aquarius drives us based on our existing temperament, so it's hard to change, kind of have a fixed attitude. A strong need to take the stage and make a splash, looking for the support of friends and associates. As well, it brings out wild mood swings. You know, the best and worst sides of your character tend to come out on the full moon. And it's all about the Leo to Aquarius opposition, which I talked a little bit about last week when I talked about the Sun opposition Mars. Now this is an opposition that is about getting your creativity, your Leo, into the outer world. It's like, you know, Leo is below the horizon and the opposition is to Aquarius is above the horizon. So the opposition from Leo to Aquarius is about getting your creativity into the outer world and creating something bigger than yourself. Usually, you know, in cooperation with other people, friends and associates. You know, and together you all do something that's bigger than yourself individually. It's like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So this full moon energy compels us to reach out with our creative efforts and do something really big, join with others. And that's why I say it's kind of, you want to make a big splash, and you're looking for the support of friends and associates, so together you can do something really big. But the Mars, currently retrograde, squaring Uranus, bring a whole new dynamic into the picture. The Mars opposition Sun, which happened exactly last week, but it's still very close, it brings confrontation with regressive, I say anti-evolutionary, because Aquarius is associated with our process of evolution. So with Mars retrograde, you might encounter, regressive anti-evolutionary forces. The people who are overly idealistic, not grounded in reality. The high-handed control freaks and even the sociopaths. And these types could come out of the woodwork today. And basically, over the course of of the time that this eclipse is in effect, which is actually going to be until January 20th of 2019. But generally, it also prevents us from moving forward in life if the egotistical positions we have held in the past are no longer acceptable. So when we try to reach out, which is what we're going to try to do, we may be confronted by our own past. Our own egotistical behavior from the past comes back at us. Or it may be the opposite. You may get lucky and find people with the same mindset as you. And together you do something really amazing, something bigger than yourself. And that would be a really good thing. But more than likely, some event causes you to realize that your creative efforts have been blocked. And this is largely due to the beliefs that you have held and shared with your friends and associates. You get into a group mindset. And the mindset of the group we are in, it helps us in some ways, but it also prevents us from evolving as we need to do in this life. And at this Mars retrograde, we're reevaluating our identity with the group. And it's all closely tied into this full moon. So this full moon, we are looking to overcome the limitations of the group mindset. And this could cause confrontations, possibly even fights among friends or people in the same group. As well, some groups of radicals may be inspired to destructive behavior. So this is really not a good full moon to be in a strange or dangerous location. Folks are erratic and unpredictable, and at times downright antisocial. So the square to Uranus isn't going to exactly help out. Uranus is at the pressure point of the T-square. And since Uranus is concerned with our process of evolution, we feel a crisis to evolve. It's like we need to separate ourselves from the group in order to evolve and do it our own way. And this is causing a schism in the mind as we reach a point of culmination for many of our social activities. And, it's like time to make a decision. And so it's kind of disruptive. So Friday night could be a really wild night, so use caution. But luckily, the Saturn trine Uranus is a moderating force. This energy is helping, as I like to say, an old dog to learn new tricks. It's actually helping us incorporate a lot of new things into our structure, helping us to realize our highest potential. And on the good side, it's also making radical political behavior dampened. It's like it puts a wet rag on a lot of the like Antifa behavior and social justice warriors who can't seem to get together and organize because Saturn is kind of putting a wet rag on that. As well, I think that this aspect is associated with the positive progress that's being made in world politics. Trump and Putin have recently decided to work together and not start World War III. Of course, this is much to the disappointment of guys like Senator John McCain and all of the people, actually a lot of them in the Democratic Party, who really hate Russia and would love to see that situation not change. They don't want to see progress being made. So I see this as really being a stabilizing force that's preventing the radicals from getting too out of hand. This lunar eclipse will do a great job of bringing things to the surface that are preventing you from evolving. So how disruptive it is depends on your situation. Lastly, considering the effects of this is having on your mind. As I say, a schism in the mind is forming, and that breaks us out of our ordinary, mundane reality. It's a little bit frightening at first, a little unsettling, but very good because ultimately what this is causing is a psychic awakening within us. And that's one of the things that we will be experiencing this week with the Mars retrograde squaring Uranus. Definitely adding to this whole psychic awakening that is going to be occurring as a result of these really tough aspects. And I'll be talking more about this later in the video when we get to the Mars square Uranus aspect on Wednesday. Okay, so that's it for the eclipse. And one other thing I wanted to note, a special note here, we are currently in a time when all of the planets in the solar system are lined up on one side of the sun, like one hemisphere of the sun. It's hard to see using astrology charts because we do things geocentric. But there seems to be no reference of this on the internet as how this may be affecting us astrologically. But I've noticed it and wanted to call attention to the fact that it's out there. And some articles indicate that it could have some potential for seismic activity, earthquakes and volcanoes. So you may want to look into that yourself and see what you can determine. Okay, and now here's for the daily summary for this coming week, starting Sunday, July the 29th. So on Sunday, we've got a long void of course in Aquarius from early in the morning until late in the afternoon. So we're really not in the mood for responsibility, kind of a carefree day. On Monday, the moon in Pisces makes us mellow and sensitive, and the evening is warm and tender. On Tuesday, moon in Pisces keeps us thinking about the non-material side of life. But then we move into Wednesday. We might even start to feel the energy of the Mars square Uranus on Tuesday evening. It's a really volatile aspect, especially since the moon's going to be in Aries. So use caution on Wednesday. Watch out for strange or erratic behavior. Don't provoke anyone. We are all kind of experiencing a big psychic awakening. So just a lot of psychic energy is pouring out of all of us. It's hard to discern what's going on. People might have some strange behavior. So just heads up on that one. And then on Thursday, the moon in Aries leaves us headstrong with some challenges in the early evening, followed by lively conversations. And then we've got a void of course. It begins in the evening on Thursday, and it continues until early Friday afternoon. So Friday starts off with a void of course until the moon enters Aries. And then we've got a couple of volatile aspects close to one another late on Friday in the afternoon. So I'll call attention to those. And then on Saturday, moon in Taurus gives us the last quarter moon in the morning, but some really nice aspects in the afternoon to make it a good day, a good time to enjoy yourself and appreciate your physical body. And the same is true for Sunday, when the moon in Taurus makes more great aspects. Good time to just be wholesome and appreciate your physical body. Get out there, do some recreation, spend time in nature. Good weekend for that. So it's a good aspects to enjoy yourself the coming weekend after such a rough week. And then at the end of the video, I'll be talking about the full moon transits for Israel and Bashar al-Assad of Syria. Both Israel and Syria are going to be in that area of the world where they get the full effect of the lunar eclipse. So that's why I'm focusing on them. Okay, so let's get started with Sunday the 29th. Very early in the morning, we've got a moon opposition Mercury, now retrograde. And then a void, of course, begins and continues until the late afternoon. So most of the day on Sunday, we have a moon void, of course. I would say a good day to relax and not start any new projects. And then in the late afternoon, moon enters Pisces. So we're more sensitive and compassionate for the next couple of days. We are more in tune with the subtle vibrations around us, other people's feelings and emotions, the spirit world. We have more access to psychic abilities and psychic energy, but often we're in need of sanctuary, not so interested in the material realm and want to know the spiritual cause of life's problems. We're more patient, kind, and willing to sacrifice our time. It's a good time for artistic endeavors. Then later in the evening, Moon sextile Uranus. Wonderful. Taurus to Pisces. Open to folks who are different from you. Desire to try something out of the norm. And really the best combination of signs for getting a massage. Taurus to Pisces. Or working with healing stones. Uranus opens the mind, and it's kind of a psychic awakening this week, so these kind of aspects, I think, take on more importance. Uranus opens the mind, and the psychic energy of Pisces opens us up to communication with fairies and nature spirits and guardian angels. So it's a good time for spiritual play. But as well, Sunday evening is a good time for social gatherings, because Uranus loves to be with friends. So it's a good time to be with friends, or even make some new friends. It's a really wonderful aspect for Sunday evening. And then even later in the evening, we've got the Moon sextile Saturn. A sensitive and compassionate aspect for Saturn, willing to help those who truly deserve it. Okay, moving along to Monday, the 30th. We've got the Moon in Pisces, so we're dreamy and sensitive today, not really interested in the material world. And just one aspect in the evening, it's a good one, Moon trine Jupiter. Emotions expand, feeling optimistic, compassionate, and sensitive. The Scorpio to Pisces trine, characterized as an opportunity to heal psychological wounds. It's also a good time for social gatherings. Okay, moving along to Tuesday, July the 31st. Just past midnight, we've got the Moon conjunct Neptune. Feeling very connected to everything. Cosmic poke on your belly button. Very warm and sensitive and caring. May be called upon to be of service to others. Also very psychic. Open to the subtle vibrations around us. It's kind of the theme this week. A psychic awakening. So pay attention to those ones. And then also in the morning on Tuesday, Moon sextile Pluto. A strong burst of energy to help you focus and pull your thoughts out of the mundane world for a while. Able to consider the non-material aspects of the situation to find a workable solution. Pluto always loves to fix and repair things, and this sextile to Pisces gives us access into another realm, thinking beyond just the material world, and that's why you can really find some really good solutions to problems with an aspect like this. Okay, in the afternoon on Tuesday, we've got the Moon in Pisces opposition Venus in Virgo. Energy feeling a little bit low, maybe feeling some disappointment, not feeling like being with others. We're very sensitive, too sensitive, I would say. And then we've got a void, of course, a long one that continues until early tomorrow morning. Okay, so let's move along to Wednesday the 1st. And early in the morning, Moon enters Aries. So we're more headstrong for the next couple of days. More courageous, but need to be mindful of the rights of others. Normally a good time to start new projects, but we see some challenges over the next couple of days due to the Mars retrograde squaring Uranus and squares to Capricorn as well, Pluto and Saturn. So the ambitious and energetic quality of Aries brings out impulsive behavior. It could cause some problems and disagreements, and folks are just more prone to head injuries. So that's something to watch out for. I'll mention that again as we move along to the Mars square Uranus. Also in the morning on Wednesday, we've got Moon sextile Mars. This one's going to give us a burst of energy in the morning. Good time for a workout to help release some energy today in a positive way. And then later in the morning, Moon square Saturn. Especially difficult time today as emotions are repressed. Life seems more difficult, yet other aspects are pushing us in conflicting directions. Such as this one, the Mars square Uranus. And this one will be 2 degrees of Aquarius to 2 degrees of Taurus. And Uranus is just about getting ready to go retrograde pretty soon too as well. So this is a very important aspect, one that we should be taking special note of. This is the second of 3 passes. The first pass was May the 16th at 0 degrees. This pass at 2 degrees, and the last pass September 19th, and that'll be at 1 degree 55 minutes. So it's all very close. But the aspect remains within orb from mid-May to late September. So it's had a very long impact on us for quite a while. And it's causing a whole trend, things to happen politically. I think the walk away movement is associated very much with this Mars square Uranus. But as for this one, it causes us to confront things or people that are different from us, often with aggression. That's the basic reading of the Mars square Uranus, because Mars confronts things with aggression, and Uranus is people or things that are different from us. We're free and independent thinking, sharp mind, quick stinging wit, abstract and idealistic as well. It brings up erratic, strange, or unpredictable behavior, so be careful in situations where accidents could happen. Ambitious and impulsive, the use of force to achieve your greater goals in life. Revolt against authority, and even revolt against responsibility. Brings out rebellious, even defiant behavior, like not taking the usual precautions when operating dangerous equipment or machinery. So that's why you should take special care today and make sure you don't let your guard down. We are projecting so much psychic energy that it could manifest as mechanical breakdowns or even dangerous accidents. And with the moon in Aries, head injuries. So be careful. Use caution. Could bring a sudden jolt to break you out of your regular patterns of thinking and acting. Big surprise. But Mars is retrograde, so there is a need to internalize this impulsive energy, even though we feel a desire to initiate changes that have been stirring on a subconscious level. Changes in our life. We feel a crisis to do that now. Powerful forces are within you. Stirring within you, ready to break forth and express themselves in the outer world. A greater expression of yourself is emerging. So we have that crisis to do that, yet we have strong opposition. It causes you to rethink your position or your identity within your social or political group. Possibly change the direction of your life in a fundamental way. Change your social activities and even your political alliances. Start including a different set of people in your social circle. It could be a contentious time, as Mars retrograde means that egotistic positions that you've taken in the past are revealed and likely challenged. Things that you've written on social media, once considered harmless, may now be deemed socially unacceptable. Uranus is all concerned with trends. So trends are changing, and what was once acceptable is not. Little things like that which let you know that times have changed. And all of this reminds you that on a spirit level, you too are ready to take a step forward. But the forward movement does not occur until after Mars goes direct. The forward direction you do now is internalized. And that's where we come to this whole idea of a psychic awakening. This Mars retrograde squaring Uranus causes us to internalize the Uranus-Aquarius energy, and that's what brings about psychic awakening. It means, we're pulled out of the situation, and we're able to look at it objectively. At the same time, you're inspired to make a change and evolve. Now we psychically disconnect from the group. We unplug. And at the same time, the inward force of Mars helps you to turn inward, becoming more aware of your innate psychic abilities. Uranus is very associated with a psychic ability because it represents our evolved self, or maybe our higher self. And that is the highest manifestation of who you are as a cosmic being. You know, your Aquarius is the 11th step, you know, just before Pisces, and we dissolve. So it's like the culmination of the highest manifestation of who you are. And that includes all sorts of amazing abilities that usually remain latent in most folks, just waiting to be awakened. You know, Uranus enables abstract awareness, and it opens the doorway to psychic abilities. So going within and opening up to your innate psychic abilities can be a profoundly positive manifestation, a breakthrough, you know, a wonderful thing for this aspect. And the whole idea is that you're pulled out of your usual state of being in order to move you along to your next step on your path of evolution. So it's temporary, and it can be quite a jolt, but it can really change your life in a fundamental way. So good luck with that one. Now, in geopolitics, all sorts of interesting stuff is coming up associated with this aspect. We got foolish tweets coming out from the past, and the theme is all the same. It's all about egotistical or sexual misuse of modern technology. Regressive Mars energy related to Aquarius, modern technology. It's a perfect match for the Mars retrograde square Uranus. So last week it was Peter's stroke, and this week, which is a growing list of people now, is Hollywood director James Gunn. He's making tweets with pedophile jokes, and there's lots of these Hollywood people that have been doing this, and they're all trying to delete them now because this guy just got fired from Disney, but it's all come out. You know, it's all corresponding in synchronicity with this Mars square Uranus. Now, look what I wrote in May at the first pass. I said that, you know, it's going to be a big event. Here's my quotes. I just left it in quote. I won't go through the whole thing, but I just said, something slams up against a brick wall. An event occurs where our awareness suddenly expands, is projected out, so we feel like an observer. And that's what happens when a revelation occurs. When a revelation like that occurs, and you say, wait a second, I thought this person was cool. I thought he was, you know, trendy. But suddenly, he's not. And it's like it pulls you out of the whole notion of what is trendy, or, you know, what is really pulling us together. What are our communal values? And suddenly you feel like an observer from the outside. And something absolutely must be brought into light so everyone can see it. Well, that's exactly what happened. Both with respect to all of these tweets about pedophilia coming up from the Hollywood people, as well as all of this stuff with Strozik and Lisa Page. She's the lovebird turned songbird, and she contradicted Strozik and revealed that there was never any basis for the entire Mueller investigation in the first place. Now, this is really big. You can see how this is manifesting. It looks like the entire Mueller investigation is falling apart, as it has now been revealed that there was never any valid legal basis for an investigation in the first place. So once again, it's like this amazing fact, this revelation that pulls us out of the situation, causes us to look at it like an observer. And that ultimately results in an awakening, as well as in a psychic awakening for all of us. So this is really having a profound impact on politics, and I think on everybody's life. It's a really major event. So please leave me a comment and let me know about the accuracy of my prediction in May and how you think that's working out. I'd love to know your opinion on that. Okay, so finishing up, we got one more moon aspect for Wednesday, late in the evening, and it's a good one. Moon trine Sun, a creative and inspirational time, but it's kind of overshadowed by the Mars aspect. Okay, moving along to Thursday, August the 2nd. Late in the afternoon, we've got Moon square Pluto, moody and impulsive. Sudden actions cause disruptions, especially in these signs, Aries to Capricorn. It brings out ruthless behavior. And then later in the evening, much better, Moon trine Mercury, lively conversations in fire signs, Aries and Leo. Folks expressing themselves without inhibition. A void, of course, begins, and this one's going to continue until early tomorrow afternoon. So that's another long void, of course. So moving along to Friday, August the 3rd, in the early afternoon, Moon enters Taurus. So we're more grounded, cautious, and steadfast for the next couple of days, preferring to move ahead with existing projects rather than starting new ones. We're more healthy and wholesome. We're placid like the bull. Financial security is more important. Lots of aspects for the Moon in Taurus these days means we have lots of opportunities to express our values. May feel like spending money more than usual. And in the early afternoon, we got a couple of tough aspects for the Moon in Taurus. Starting with the Moon square Mars, headstrong and domineering, time of delicate health and emotions. And it mixed with the next aspect, Moon conjunct Uranus, means you need to be careful, because Mars retrograde means impulsive actions come back at you in a bad way. So we've got the Moon conjunct Uranus kind of running into this one. Restless, impulsive, surprising, looking for change or just some excitement for the sake of change. Could cause problems as it activates the Mars retrograde square Uranus aspect, and unpredictable or erratic behavior arises. So this kind of adds on to the energy from Wednesday, because the Moon is right there in there with that Moon conjunct Uranus and squaring Mars. Could bring up problems with the police. The last two Moon aspects could make Friday evening not a good time to be in strange or dangerous locations, because we're going to have lots of regressive, egotistical actions. So be careful for that. Although a little later in the evening, it does get a little better with the Moon trine Saturn. It has a calming effect, a bit of relief from the previous two. We're more level-headed and concerned with your long-term needs. Also good judgment. Okay, moving along to Saturday, August the 4th. We start in the late morning with the last quarter moon, Moon square Sun. It's the time when you feel either success or failure for this month's growth. So it brings emotional ups and downs as you experience a crisis for fulfillment. It's the Taurus to Leo square, and that one's characterized as overcoming stubbornness to your creative efforts, or maybe even financial worries that prevent you from having the romantic life that you desire. I've seen that manifested in the Taurus to Leo square with some folks. It's like they never feel like they have enough money for romance. So that issue could come up. We're not as emotionally available for others now, as we are assessing our own needs, kind of counting our own chips to see how much we have. And then later in the afternoon, the Moon opposition Jupiter. Great aspect for a party. Emotions expand and we feel like being in a crowd, although we're prone to excessive behavior and poor financial judgment. Then in the early evening, Moon sextile Neptune. Wonderful, feeling very sensual and sensitive. Desire sanctuary where you can relax and feel safe. It's a great time for a massage, that Taurus to Pisces sextile. In tune with nature, spirits, and fairies. It's a good time to be in nature and go walking barefoot in nature. You feel very grounded and connected to everything around you. It's really wonderful. And then we've got the Moon square Mercury late in the evening on Saturday. Very late, just before midnight. Emotions conflict with conscious thought processes. Not a good time to be making decisions or to be driving, so be careful while driving. And then finishing up with Sunday, August the 5th. Just past midnight, we've got the Moon trine Pluto. It's going to bring a strong burst of energy actually to Saturday evening late, and a strong connection to the Earth right now. You know, all that earthy trine, Taurus to Capricorn, and you just feel very empowered from Pluto. And so you feel very grounded and connected to the Earth. Very useful for making a change for the better in your home environment. And then in the afternoon, we've got the moon trine Venus. Pleasant and easygoing attitude. Also good for the digestion. Venus is in Virgo. And then a void, of course, begins. It's very short until the moon enters Gemini early in the evening on Sunday. So we're more mentally active for the next couple of days, catching up on missed connections. Can do two things at once. Lots of communication and short trips around town. Not too many aspects for the moon in Gemini these days, and we've got a long void, of course, coming on Tuesday. And then Sunday ends with a very nice moon trine Mars in the evening. Good time for physical activities. Go outside, feel the fresh air. We're very adaptable. Just want to do something, move your body, enjoy your physical body. Good time to be with friends. Okay, so that's it for the aspects this week. Okay, so this week got a couple of charts to go over, focusing on major players in the Middle East, the area that will experience the eclipse fully, and who also get strong transits at this full moon. So we're starting with Israel. So I got their birth chart on the outer wheel, and the chart for the eclipse on the 27th on the inner wheel, which you can see will be happening at 4 degrees, 45 minutes of Leo. So with Israel, the story from them these days, and I'll give you the article here. It's a good story. Basically, it says that they've been in intense negotiations, which have resulted in the release of hundreds of White Helmet members. It's a good story which shows the connection between Israel and ISIS. Essentially, ISIS is a Western-backed terrorist army that is now losing its funding. And Israel is now covering their tracks, getting rid of evidence to show what they've really been doing. And I'll leave a link to this in the description. So taking a look at their chart, and notice we have the correct birth time for them because they were born so recently. So we can be sure of the position of their moon at 4 degrees 30 minutes of Leo here in the 10th house. And during the eclipse, the transiting moon will be at 4 degrees of Aquarius, almost exactly opposing their natal moon. So it's moon opposition moon at the time of the eclipse. It's very close, and it's in the 4th to 10th house axis. So that makes it even stronger. What does that mean? Well, very emotional interactions with others. And for them as a nation, confrontations over territory, because it's the moon and the 4th house. Lots of potential for disagreements. This is during the eclipse, and as I say, they are located in the area where the eclipse is visible, where I should say the moon's going to be fully blocked out, so it seems all the more significant for them. This to me indicates some bad news for Israel, and they can expect a lot of confrontations during the time covered by this eclipse, which generally lasts until the next one, which, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be January 20th, 2019. Now, this event is just one of a few things which are contributing to a state of unease with regard to their long-term security and survival, which of course is a never-ending story with them. The full moon opposing their natal moon at the time of the eclipse indicates a threat to their homeland security. In addition, Mars retrograde, going through their 4th house here next to the moon, of course, is also opposing their natal moon. And that one brings aggressive actions against them, even a direct threat. That's what the Mars opposition brings, often a direct threat. So in addition, you'll notice Saturn, currently at 3 degrees Capricorn, is making an opposition to their Venus in the sign of Cancer, ruled by the moon, once again. So that one is bringing limitation and a need to pull back and secure what they already have. So it looks kind of difficult for Israel these days. As well, looking at Uranus, currently at 2 degrees of Taurus, is soon to make two major transits that are going to affect their homeland. The first is the Uranus sextile Venus at 4 degrees of Cancer, and Uranus square Moon at 4 degrees of Leo. So they'll be concurrent. I guess you could say they'll be getting the good with the bad, the sextile and the square at the same time. Both transits indicate changes in the home or homeland, as in their case, because they're a country. So Uranus is definitely set to bring some changes to them as well. And I think that Israel is in a state of uncertainty, and events surrounding this full moon are showing the extent of that uncertainty. You just kind of have to read the news stories, read some of the alternative news media reports to see what's really going on. But I think they're in a state of difficulty right now. And Bashar al-Assad of Syria, he too is getting some strong transits at this full moon. The full moon makes a quincunx to his natal Mercury. You'll see it here at 4 degrees 48 minutes of Virgo. And once again, we've got the correct birth time with him, so we're very certain of that placement. And that's all the more important for him because he's a political figure and politics is ruled by Mercury. And what this quincunx does is it conflicts emotions and his intellect, causes anxiety and restlessness. As well, he feels guilt for the problems in the world. Hence, he takes on more responsibility. And the accompanying Mars quincunx Mercury means impulsive decision-making, too much responsibility. Again, with the quincunx taking on the problems of the world. And for him, challenges to his authority could be a direct threat, just like Israel, because it's Mars. He needs to slow down, recollect himself, and proceed with caution. Now, luckily for him, Saturn is a moderating force. Currently at 3 degrees of Capricorn, is making a trine to that same Mercury at 4 degrees of Virgo. Well, that's really good. It's bringing him the ability to think things through carefully. And not too long from now, Uranus, currently at 2 degrees of Taurus, is about to trine that Mercury as well. All this activity around his Mercury. To me, that indicates a lot of activity for his voice. People will hear him more than they have in the past. Authority figures and the public in general with Uranus are going to hear him. I think more people are going to start listening to what he has to say, and how the civil war in Syria was all started by the West, who organized and financed the rebels from the very start. And even better for him these days is you'll notice the current location of Jupiter at 13 degrees of Scorpio. It's soon to conjunct his Mars, along with 4 other good Jupiter transits. It'll conjunct his Neptune, as well as sextile Uranus, Pluto, and Sun. And this is all coming up very soon, within the next few months. So this should bring him some good luck, as well as, because it's Jupiter, good relations with foreigners. So that's my take on how the eclipse is going to affect a couple of the major players in the Middle East. That's all for this week. And you can check out my website, tomsocalm.com. Thank you to my subscribers and supporters. And a special thanks to Jenny B, who sent me a donation this week, and it really made my day. You'll find donation buttons for Patreon and PayPal in the lower right-hand corner of the flower image on my channel homepage. You can follow me on Twitter at TomJordan364. Please contact me if you're interested in a natal or transit reading. As well, I'm a Reiki master, and if you're interested in a long-distance Reiki healing or a psychic reading, please contact me at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or my weblog where I post the transcript of these weekly videos. Well, that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Once again, thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.